Only anime could get me into watching a series about painters paint. Something that I necessarily did not find anything exciting about or intriguing. Well, that was until Instagram came along. But anyway, let's start the show. What's up, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between and on the outskirts. Welcome to Khazara Anime, where I will attempt to give my thoughts in a reviewer's type of manner on anime that either I've been watching or recommended by people for me to take a look at. Today we're going to be talking about Blueperiod, which is an anime adaptation deriving from the manga that was created by Tsubasa Yamaguchi, with their first project being Kanojo to Kanojo no Neko, a series of small animated semi-autobiographical shorts chronicling the normal days this cat and his young lady share with each other. As somewhat normal or even boring as that sounds, I actually found it quite emotionally satisfying. You should check that out when you find the time. But anyway, with Studio 7 Arts being at the helm of the animation production, Blueperiod was brought to life. This anime is about this kid who goes by the name of Yakuji, who is highly ambitious and a competitive student. Amongst his friends who would be considered as slackers, he looks at the world totally differently. One would say from a more realistic and practical perspective. He enjoys accomplishing tasks, making deadlines, and doing things solely predicated on the probability that he could receive some type of return on his investments, to put it mildly. And really, that's no different than how most people behave. He earns high grades in school and is a bit of a wisecracker when it comes to his knowledge of various topics, to the point where he can come off as being arrogant. Initially, this personality trait can make one assume that he is somewhat of a jerk, but that misconception couldn't be more further than the truth. Like many people, he is this way for a logical reason, and you could say it's because of the constant pressure imposed on him involuntarily to become something or to fulfill a role that is part of somebody else's expectations, rather than his own. However, the world and how he perceives it to be is challenged once he becomes exposed to the world of art through the encounter of two characters, as it would seem. One being Ryuji, somebody who can go toe-to-toe with Yaguchi when it comes to opposing philosophies, and the other being Marie Mori, a talented and soft-spoken student whose talent in the arts reflects her wisdom and how she views the world. She is the one who actually becomes Yaguchi's inspiration to continue down the path that he would initially thought to be a pointless endeavor. Judging by his peers, the decision to become more serious about his newfound hobby is seemingly unprecedented, but regardless, he perseveres with the goal of getting into art school. As he matures throughout this anime, the real-life practical application of techniques seen utilized when it comes to drawing, painting, and such serves as the metaphorical catalyst for his character development. This in turn forces him to find a new respect for those who consider this medium to be a means of freedom. As the viewer watching this anime, you see Yaguchi facing off against external and internal challenges, such as disappointing close ones, how he must adapt in a field where success is often uncertain, and the realization that the possibility of his hard work might not pay off like he wants or even expects. From a person who only believes in definiteness where one's worth is easily determined by some quantifiable or undisputed answer, he finds himself becoming a fish out of water when he enters a field where now success is not guaranteed. It's now based on one's unique individualistic ability to present a product that not only exudes one personality, but one's perspective and methods of achieving such. The presentation for Blueperiod looks pretty good. I mean, it's nothing too flashy, but it is something that I consider being very clean. Each character is distinctive, and when I watch this show, I can easily tell the type of personality each person will have, just based off of judging a book by its cover. Now, I know how the old saying goes that you shouldn't do that, but then again, I live in the real world. Sorta. And just observing human beings, people do it every day. So there's that. Since the primary focus of Blueperiod is based on art, it's no surprise that the different art pieces presented makes it quite obvious where the most detail was placed in regards to the illustration and animations. The main character, especially within this one pivotal scene, reminded me of similar character models found within the Persona game series, but that's just me. Speaking of the main character, seeing him go through the many emotional changes is very well relayed, from moments where he's happy to moments where he isn't feeling too great. This goes for the other cast members as well, and they do a good job of kind of hitting the nail on the head, especially when the viewer is paying close attention. You see, there'll be moments where you'll be seeing characters smiling, knowing good as well what they said in no way, shape, form, or fashion warrants it. In many cases, it's damn near contradictory to their behavior, but it adds a bit of an interesting conflict the viewer can unravel. The greatest moments is when you see the expressions of those who find success or has come to terms with what they truly desire. But overall, yeah, the animation looks pretty alright. As for the music, The music of Blueperiod was done by ep2 and serves this anime with some of the best calming and cerebral music invoking thought. From listening to the original soundtrack, I heard songs that was quiet and centered around a classical piano style with string instruments coming in to serenade the listener. My favorite tracks are Trial and Error, where the song goes through a couple of changes. First coming in with this almost otherworldly-like sense, only to then be introduced to these simple and yet curious felt keys. Then it fleshes itself out with a string of calming and warm notes to be accompanied by this beautiful but haunting vocals. This song feels nice, but has an underlying creepiness that's buried within it. Speaking of calming, the song that follows Simple Pleasure is just comforting in all of its essence. The plucking strings of an acoustic guitar followed by what seems to be taking center stage, which is a series of violins or violas playing, kinda makes this song feel warm. But if you haven't noticed yet, there's nothing but string instruments all over this original soundtrack. And really, it sounds pretty amazing. I will post links to where you can check it out for yourself. But let's wrap up this review, shall we? This anime talks about the uncomfortable feeling of pursuing something you dream and love doing versus just doing something you're good at. Yaguchi is a perfect student who possesses the intellect and wit to go on to pursue things to make him and the people around him better off. Unfortunately, that will come at the cost, which is his own happiness. The question is, would you invest time and energy into something that fulfills one's desire to express, let alone reflect their own definition of fulfillment, or out of safety of the known and familiar, do something that just, well, let's just be honest, pays money. Just because somebody is good at something does not mean that one should assume it makes that person happy doing it. Based on Yakuji's behavior, I'll say that in some regards his choice was a selfish one, but one he shows no regrets of doing. Personally, I, and like many others who are on their own unique path to life, will come to this somewhat fork in the road. It's these type of decisions that one could determine the outcome of one's purpose and ultimately, one's destiny. This anime touches on many common things that real-life artists wrestle with, like confidence in one's own ability when comparing themselves to others who may be prodigies, realizing those that have natural talent versus those who have spent time sharpening their skills through experience and repetition, becoming more comfortable in one's own style while appreciating others, and learning about artists through their actual art. I guess if I was to make it a thing to give a one-word topic that this anime relates to me, that would be individuality. The very thing that makes a person stand out amongst other contemporaries as a unique individual. It's not uncommon to hear the phrase, accept me as I am, or etc., or some other ultimatum coming from others, but just what if the person speaking that phrase has a difficulty in accepting themselves? This concept is what I see exemplified in Yaguchi's case when he begins comparing himself to his peers' methods and styles of drawing. But this really hits home like a sledgehammer when it comes to the view of learning about Ryuji Aikawa, aka Yuka, and her internal struggles. What this character wrestles with is the complete opposite of Yaguchi's. You see, Ryuji is confident and has a strong sense of self. However, the issue comes with her environment not always being accepting of this character's choices and being. But just like these characters, a person must come to the conclusion that yes, as an individual, a person is unique due to the many compounding factors that stack up on top of each other as a person matures. Because we live in a world that is populated with others, it's an inevitability that a person will come to the acknowledgement that some people may have more or less of any type of characteristic or attribute that another may desire or detest. But regardless of whoever has more or less of anything in comparison to you, the one constant is that you are still you as an individual. So as cliche as this sounds.
Alright, PSA. Be you. For better or worse. Be you. Shit, be you. Be you. Be you. That is all. Look, that is all. Peace.
A person's goal is to become the best version of themselves, even though outside environmental or even societal circumstances may strongly suggest that one must feel forced to compete against others, or even conform to any ideas that they don't know why subconsciously. Blueperiod showcases these situations via the many backstories of Yakuji's peers and those who he interacts with who are dealing with the various types of pressures, whether from friends, family, self-expectations, expectations from others, or in this case, the art exams. Seeing some of the transformations of Yakuji's friends, rivals, and associates, it's safe to conclude that when certain pressures are applied, it could result in growth or self-destructive behaviors. However, it's the fundamental enjoyment and effort of one creating their own paths is what's more important and should not be forgotten. Blueperiod is an anime that is 12 episodes long for its first season, which is becoming somewhat of a standard. Personally, I think having less episodes within a season extracts the unnecessary fats that comes along with having a long series. In other words, less filler and more focus on progression, which is in my opinion always good, that is if the show has a nice pace to it. However, I am afraid that if one binges a show like this without taking the time out to let it soak in and digest what one just watched, could have the consequences of the viewer forgetting about it. But enough of my small rant. Blueperiod is set to have a stage play out dangerously soon, and judging by the promotional poster, it looks like they're going to be staying faithful to the original material. But if you're not in Tokyo, Japan by chance, you can always watch the anime now on the subscription-based platform Netflix. Links will be in the description below. And remember, embracing and accepting who you are will grant you with doors only you can open and walk through. Peace.